Reactor. Roll on.
Welcome, Reactorites. My name is Alger, and this is
Bob,
and we're here to give you the
spoiler-filled review of the Suicide Squad.
exactly. How did you feel about it?
I actually enjoyed it. There was a couple issues, but I don't think there was nearly as many issues as the current reviews have given.
Exactly. I enjoyed it too as well. Again, if you don't know anything about the Suicide Squad, these are a group of villains that are basically forced to work in a mission where they know they're going to pretty much die in the end.
Yes.
In a way.
Hence being called the Suicide
Exactly,
Squad.
exactly.
If you don't know a little more about it, basically Amanda Waller, who's in charge of Argus, she's kind of like the government person who is controlling and mapping out all of the metahumans. If you've ever watched any of the animated series or read comic books, she's a really big part of it. She has a lot of information that her and Batman kind of go back and forth. She starts this team, this kind of, Project X or whatever you want to call them, of these anti-heroes who she can control and uses them for good. If not, they'll die. So she doesn't really give them much of a choice.
Amanda Waller was one of my favorite characters. She was really...
Viola Davis did great as Amanda Waller.
Exactly. She was protocol, ruthless.
She was perfect for that role.
Exactly. I pretty much saw Amanda Waller coming out of the comic books.
Yeah, and exactly.
Punching you in the face or
shooting you in the head.
face.
Yeah. So let's talk about overall, Alder. What do you think of the film overall?
I enjoyed it. Again, there's issues I had with the pacing. One of the things that popped out at me, and I explained this to our other Nerd Reactor member, the music.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I don't want to compare them to Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm trying not to.
There was too much music.
Exactly. There's like no it seemed like they were just shoving in music to shove in music, and it just kept coming one after another. It was like, okay, what genre?
Yeah, like from Eminem to Queen, back to 80s, more 80s music and 70s music. There wasn't really a I thought they were gonna start putting Matchbox 20 in there. There were some 90s. Like they tried to hit every era of music. A lot of it wasn't required and didn't need to be in it, but they still did it anyway. I think the music was just a little bit too much, and they should have stuck with the theme as they did in the trailers. Let's talk about the characters. So let's go with the first one that you meet is Deadshot.
I tried to go into this film not expecting anything from Will Smith. Unfortunately for me, from watching too many Will Smith movies, I still saw Will Smith
being Will Smith,
but at the same time, I saw him trying to phase into that dead. It felt like it was like a struggle, but again, he didn't do it. I'm not saying he did a terrible job. I actually really like this version of Will Smith as Deadshot. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. I actually was going in thinking that Harley Quinn was going to steal the movie, and I actually think Deadshot stole the movie. There was this scene where they're fighting, Enchantress's minions, and he just takes control. He's with, Navy SEALs, and he's with his Suicide Squad, and he just gets in front of all of them and does his thing as Deadshot.
Yeah, he pretty much wipes out like 30.
Yeah, he was exactly what you'd want out of that character, even if you don't know a lot about him. It kind of makes him more important, and now you're like, oh, this is actually an interesting character and someone you might want to learn more about, even if you aren't a fan. So I very much enjoyed his character. Exactly.
I agree with you. I like Will Smith. I liked it, but again, I still saw Will Smith.
Yeah.
in large portions, but it's fine. To me that was fun.
So what about Harley Quinn?
Margot Robbie. I'm kind of like back and forth with her as Harley Quinn.
Okay.
She has the look, she had the voice, but at times I think maybe it's because of the way they wrote her. I felt like this Harley Quinn was kind of lost. I don't know. What did you think?
I really liked her. I liked that they brought out the background of her being a psychiatrist, being Joker's psychiatrist and falling in love, and people were like, oh, Stockholm syndrome. Like, it happens. It happened. It's happened before. It's gonna happen again. And I just thought she did great. She was gorgeous throughout the film. I mean, you can't help but, you know, fall in love with her character.
Yeah, she was a badass.
Yeah,
she was
and
seriously a badass.
She can take care of herself. She's not a damsel. She's not even, you know, Harley Quinn in the animated series where she was introduced wasn't nearly as capable as this version of Harley Quinn.
I would, going back to your damsel in distress, Harley Quinn is a person that you shouldn't be looking up to.
Yeah.
she's not that.
Yeah.
She's still a psychopath. She's still insane.
Yeah.
As much as insane as Joker is, again, due to the Stockholm syndrome.
So what about the Joker? This is where we kind of disagree.
It's this balance for me again. It's this balance of, I liked the way that Jared Leto, or I like the direction that Jared Leto was going, but at the same time, I didn't. I really don't know. It's kind of hard to explain because when I saw him, it felt like he was trying too hard. But then at times I'm like, oh, this is great. He's reinventing the character because everybody's so used to the Jack Nicholson or the Heath Ledger, which is most recent. Because
the Heath Ledger Joker was a broken Joker. He was a product of, you know, what happened to him, the abuse. He was, as sad to say, the Rob Zombie version of Michael Myers, where they kind of made him this white trash guy, which a lot of Halloween fans actually didn't like. And this was completely different. They made this Joker the cocky, badass, Dark Knight Returns version, you know, gangster who runs the city and everyone fears him. He has all the power in the world, and he was just that fun Joker who was, you didn't know if he was gonna, like, you know, kill you or have his way with you or just, you know, torture you for the fun of it. I thought he was great. He was psychotic, very much the Mark Millar version of the Joker, which is one of my favorites, and I think he might be my second favorite Joker out of every rendition of him.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. My favorite Joker is actually the Joker from the Red Hood, the animated series.
Oh, the animated movie?
The animated movie, yeah. Excuse me, it's not series.
This is what he was based off.
That's
Partially.
the thing. That's the thing that kind of throws me off is because maybe it's the tattoos. Because I kept thinking, one of the things I kept thinking whenever I saw him talk and laugh, he looked like Macaulay Culkin.
I don't agree, but I don't think you see a lot of his tattoos. The one on his hand was probably the most dominant one that you saw. Yeah. Which he has like a mouth and he covers it so you can kind of see it. That was really the only one they really showed off, and I'm thinking they're going to show a little bit more in the Batman film or Justice League film. But now let's go into all the other supporting characters, right? Rick Flag. What do you think of Rick Flag? Scott Eastwood, I think, who played him.
I think Rick Flag was okay.
He was a young Rick Flag, you know, still kind of earning his role. He was a good character. He just
I don't know.
They made him a dude in love versus being
a soldier.
Yeah, versus being just a straight soldier. He was doing it because he was in love, and the Enchantress was embodied. His girlfriend is embodied by the Enchantress.
This is a theme that movies will always go through, or at least superhero movies, is to humanize the characters, of course, so you can relate to them.
But he's not a character you should humanize.
Exactly. I want to go into the bar scene, but we can keep going. But yeah, just Rick Flag, I thought it was okay. They just used him as a hook.
Killer Croc?
Killer Croc was a waste.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I personally think Killer Croc was just a waste. He had like a total of maybe 2 or 3 sentences total.
He didn't really need to be in there.
Yeah.
His size was underwhelming. He should be 7 feet tall, and I know they try to make him a little bit more human. He made a joke at the end, actually, which got a lot of laughs. But he wasn't really necessary to the film. He was probably, you know, the great thing about the Avengers was that they juggled the characters perfectly. Suicide Squad had characters that could have just been completely cut out, and it would have been great. And that kind of leads into Katana.
Yeah, Katana was just there to be there.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be like Rick Flag,
and then she freaking cries and
that part didn't make any sense. She was crying because of her husband, and I understand they're explaining that like her husband is trapped in the sword, but they didn't really flesh out her character for us to care about that.
No, not at all.
Maybe that was left on the cutting room floor. Which I think
she was a better Katana than the one in Arrow, but they could have done a lot more with her. She was just kind of there. She was background noise. Now, what about Captain Boomerang?
I like Jay Courtney's
I
character.
really liked him. He made a third string character jump up to the second string. You know, he's in the Rogues. There was a spoiler. There was a cameo by The Flash when they introduced Captain Boomerang, which was really cool. But Captain Boomerang's character was really fun. He was exactly what you'd expect out of a rogue. I thought he did great. Great job, Jai Courtney.
Too bad. I don't know. Do you think it felt like they didn't use him enough though? But even though I liked him,
He kind of just like hid.
he was
did
just
his own thing.
there and just it was comedy relief.
Yes.
He was definitely the comedy relief of the team. So
And then you had, what was his name? Grappling Hook.
yeah.
Whenever he was only in it for like 5 minutes just for a reason. Yeah, I think his name was Slipknot. And was that all the characters? Did we just go through all of them?
No, we just got El Diablo.
Oh, El Diablo. El Diablo, I would like to like him a little bit more because, you know, he's the same color as me. But the first half of the movie, he was pointless. And then until the bar scene, which I know you want to talk about, where they actually made him relatable and why he's so self-loathing. Then he's like, all of a sudden becomes...
He was a tortured soul of the team.
Who wanted redemption.
Yeah.
Is basically it.
You would think everybody would be the tortured soul.
Yeah, but he was the most. He was like the one who's like the teenage angst kind of thing. But granted, he killed his family, so
Exactly.
that's why I liked him when he kind of turned into the Balrog at the end. I really expected Gandalf to show up and kind of take him down.
He was El Diablo.
Yeah, he was El Diablo.
He was the Spanish fire god.
Yeah.
That part was. We'll skip to that in a bit, but yeah. El Diablo, they could have used him more, or at least not even show him at all. He was just only there to show off his powers.
Deadshot is every scene Deadshot was in with him where they talked, it was good. When it was El Diablo by himself, it was like he could have been written so much better. So the last character I want to talk about is Batman. Batman actually was in the film more than I thought. He was in about 3 scenes, compared to only 1, which a lot of people thought. Some of our people weren't fans of him diving into the river to save the Joker and Harley Quinn. Joker wasn't there, but he rescues Harley Quinn. I thought that went perfectly in line with the Batman mythos. One thing in the film we did see is how Harley Quinn became Harley Quinn, which was the same way that the Joker became the Joker when he was the Red Hood and fell into the chemicals, which was Batman's fault. So, kind of Batman's fault. And so that's why he always had this kind of misunderstanding with Joker of, you know, you're the Joker because of me, so I feel responsible for you. That was, you know, one of the big reasons for the Red Hood, one of the big reasons for killing Joke. It's been a common theme that they were kind of each other's worst enemies, but best friends, similar to Superman and Lex Luthor. Without Lex Luthor, there wouldn't be a Superman. Without the Joker, there wouldn't be a Batman.
So, I'd like to go back. And when that scene, especially when he stated it, like when he saves Harley from the water, how come when he was blowing up people in Batman vs Superman, he didn't save the people?
Because those were low-level thugs.
Does Batman? I thought Batman just is not supposed to kill. Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, I can see that, but he also is not going to let someone die that's not by their hands. Because it's really different if he kills them versus if they die from something like drowning or being burned, or something that wasn't because of direct contact with him. Does that make sense?
It does, but at the same time, I'm just like, Batman would have. I don't know. This is something we could sit around in a round table
For like
and argue
10 minutes.
for like a while. Yeah.
Talk about it in the comments. But anyway, the bar scene.
Yeah, the bar scene. El Diablo starts going on about his family, and again, this is another scene where they're trying to humanize the characters. Again, introduce a human element to show that these guys are maybe villains, but they also
They have some soft spots.
They still have some soft spots. But the funny thing is, when El Diablo was talking about his kids and his wife, the Harley that I know would not have cared.
Yeah.
He's just like, she probably told him to shut the fuck up.
But I think that was a psychiatrist in her coming out, saying, own it. Like, you did what you did, and you have to deal with it. You have to face the consequences. That's what a psychiatrist does. She wasn't trying to give him that hippie bow, like, oh, it's all your fault, or it's not your fault, blah, blah, blah. It was, you got to deal with it, you did it, now go make up for it.
That's funny because now you say that she knows what she is as Harley, and she's killed people. How come she's not owning it?
Well, because she even said, "Oh, another sociopath." She makes a lot of jokes in the film.
Okay, that's right.
That were
that
really
is true.
subtle of her actually like analyzing the
People.
characters, and that's how she controls them so easily.
That is true.
She did that with Common. Common was in the film as a I guess high level thug kind of guy, and she kind of, you know, took control of that too.
In that bar scene, we see Rick Flag break the thing that controls the control of for their head explosives, and Captain Boomerang is like, I'm out of here. Fuck you guys, I'm out. Right. So once he leaves, like 30 seconds later, he shows up again with a team.
Well, because he goes for his team. It's kind of like the whole, if we don't save the world, then we're all gonna die anyway.
Well, that's funny though, because Captain Boomerang, I feel that Captain Boomerang was just like, fuck you guys can take care of this. There's enough of you. I'm out. I'm just gonna keep my money and go.
And they probably could have done it without him.
And that is true. But that part threw me off. I was like, okay, he's back again. But all right, whatever.
Overall, the film though, I mean, the story could have been better. The villains were underwhelming, but the Suicide Squad themselves were great. If it had a better villain, or at least they did something better with Enchantress and her brother, who I don't even think ever learned what his name was, just brother, it could have been a lot better. And I love DC Comics. I read them all the time still. So although I'm wearing a Marvel shirt, does not mean that I am a Marvel fanboy. I actually get made fun of for being a DC fanboy too. But I thought it could have been better, but it was pretty good. It wasn't terrible, like the review said. The
villain, again, going back to your villain, kind of irked me because Enchantress, they introduced Enchantress as this all-powerful character. You know, there's a scene in the war room in the beginning where where Amanda Waller is talking about her team, and she has Enchantress pretty much warped to Tehran,
which is in Iran, if you didn't know.
Yeah, and comes back into the war room with like these documents, with these Arabic documents,
all the weapons
that they have. But Amanda Waller has like left Enchantress's weakness sitting on the table, just sitting there. Like Enchantress could have just like grabbed it and disappeared into the ether.
Granted, it's a movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the part that made me laugh. It was like it could have been like around her neck or somewhere not safe, near her, like
maybe tied to her own heart, so something happened to her.
Something like that. But it was just like this weird plot. I don't want to call that plot hole. I would say
it's plot hole.
Okay.
So would you recommend the film?
I actually would. Again, this is my complete grade out of 5. I give it a 3 because of the weird issues that I had from here and there about the timing and all that. But in spite of that, go watch the movie. I think it's still pretty fun, and everybody would enjoy it.
I give it 3.75 atoms. Kind of between a 3.5 and a 4. Still a fun film. Go in there with no expectations. Just go in there looking to have fun and enjoy it. You probably won't dissect it as much as we are because we're fanboys of comics. But I definitely liked it. I would also say stay for the mid-credit scene. If you were ever a fan of the Amanda Waller Bruce Wayne interactions from Justice League the Animated Series or from the comics or Batman Beyond or any of the the mythos that exist with Batman, it is perfectly in line with that.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of my favorite scenes, was actually the mid-credit scene.
Yeah. If you're a DC fan, you're gonna love this movie.
Yeah.
I loved it because I just got to see these DC characters finally on screen.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see how Harley would be, how Joker would be. Again, in spite of what we've said,
judge it yourself.
Yeah, judge it yourself. But
and thanks for joining us in our spoiler-filled review of Suicide Squad. And check out more of our videos.
There is a stranger who comes to this village from the sea. He comes in the winter when people are hungry and brings fish. He comes on the king tide. That was last night.